Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Game 2 between Great Invoxus and eSuba. You just saw Game 1 with the lovely, talented Munchables and Tasty Bacon breaking it down for you, but we're here for Game 2. This is going to be surely a good time. Action already off the bat. Scoundrel. These teams are not playing around here.
No, absolutely not. I mean, already this has given the opportunity for Alpha to get in and invade the weapon power buff. It's not something that you see Europe do quite a lot, by the way. We often invade the blue side buff, but a massive commit to the middle from Great Invoxus means they're going to try and go for double CP, so they've got to make sure this doesn't get stolen away, Humanist. And it does. It gets stolen away. That is a massive blow to the strategy that eSuba tried to, Great Invoxus tried to pull off there, because they lose their weapon power buff and they have their own CP buff stolen away from them. So right now, eSuba, they're on the front foot from that initial engage.
It's pretty interesting. I mean, obviously you come in like that and there's the chance that you can get outplayed. I think they had the stronger opportunity to come out on top. But I mean, why did they go for that play early on?
Well, okay, so in Europe, what we tend to do is you have your bot laner and your jungler head towards the respective bot lanes, and you go 2v1 on the top lane. Then you link up with your mid laner and support and try and invade the blue buff. The way that eSuba tried to change that up is by committing everybody to the central mid lane for the first wave, and then tried to split their forces across both CP buffs. What the Alpha did, D3, from the side of eSuba, is directly invaded the weapon power buff, which already put a foil in their plan, and the steal kind of was the sort of cherry on the cake there.
All right, well, it's a great start for eSuba. Of course, eSuba want to come out here strong in Game 2, make a showing after that Game 1. Now, as far as the next few minutes here, we're going to wait for some of these camps to respawn. Probably, yeah, you see the waves being pushed out, top already porting back on the red side here. Invoxus back. They're going to pick up a couple items, get back out into lane. Would you expect this to be kind of a slow early game? Do we expect to see kills out on this map?
Well, when you've got a Varia and a Malign, the likelihood is that eSuba are going to be trying to take the advantage in the mid lane after their first item spike. Varia will spike okay, but Malign gets a really big first item spike depending on what you go for. It looks like, I can't really tell, he could go towards, yeah, it looks like he's going towards Aftershock right now, which could very well be her first item, or you could go towards a Shatterglass, which is a bit more burst orientated. So I'd be expecting eSuba to be making the more early aggressive plays. If I'm the side of Great Invoxus, I've got a Weapon Power Sky that's going to scale up. I've got a Varia that's obviously going to rely on maybe 2 items before she really comes online. The only thing that's going to give me some early game presence here, Humanist, is going to be that Tony. Tony is super strong in the early game. He can have a big impact in that lane versus the Alpha. And that's kind of what I want to expect coming out from Great Invoxus as they go for another blue invade right now.
Yeah, a lot of resources being committed here. Actually, it's going to be Tony dropping back into the jungle because this is where Alpha is one more time. D3 making a cute little play, but up here, he's going to be able to get... No, he's taking too much damage. Now 3 have collapsed back onto this weapon tree hunt here, and he's really committing. Has the infinite reboot, but this is not the play. His team has moved forward. He's down into the infinite reboot. Draxus left out. Draxus looks like it's going to be first blood. He's down. It's actually eSuba to take the first blood there. Set up by that Alpha. D3. It looks like he knew what he was doing, and in fact, they're going to get the gold oak as well out of the back of that one. So Invoxus kind of getting trolled out.
Now, that was really good from eSuba because they did the same play. They knew that Great Invoxus were going to try and go for a double CP rotation again, obviously knowing that it comes up after 2 minutes. So they were going to try and make that same rotation. D3 was already on it. He went straight towards the weapon power buff. But because there was already a big cohort of members from eSuba in the mid lane, they collapsed, knowing that Alpha could take the heat for a couple of minutes, or a couple of seconds rather, with her infinite reboot. Yeah, a couple of minutes it felt like, but a couple of seconds with that infinite reboot. So that was really nice collapse from eSuba. Plus, you're going to spike harder and earlier on with the heroes they've got. Malign is going to output more damage than the Varia at this stage in the game, so they knew that their skirmishing potential was a bit higher.
Well, definitely the skirmish potential showed off there. I would expect, you know, and it's also kind of like it's just player psychology. When you're able to like invade and get that kind of pressure down, it makes it more likely that we're going to see that happen again. So I'd imagine in the next few minutes we'll see eSuba probably group up, and as you said, you know, for good reason, right? They are strong, but they're going to get just stronger, and with that confidence, they can get a lot of work done.
Yeah, and I think as this goes towards the later game, I'm looking at Great Invoxus' composition and saying, well, they've got a Lorelei, which is really great for peeling against things like Alpha, Arden, even the Idris to an extent. You've got plenty of mobility there. You've got the Taunt. Like, if this gets late game, I am loving the composition that Great Invoxus have got, because I think team fights, they strictly win. The only thing that could go awry is that you do have an Idris to threaten the weapon power Sky, but you've got plenty of protection and plenty of frontline for two really strong late game carries in the form of the Varia and the Sky herself. Whereas I think eSuba are the ones that need to make these proactive plays here, Humanist.
Well, it's Invoxus making another proactive play over here to get Sweet Honor that crystal buff, taking away from eSuba, and it's just a clean, tight rotation from them. And they're going to draw back and be up towards this weapon tree, and before D3 even gets there this time. So you see Invoxus cleaning up their rotations and kind of adapting and evolving on the fly here. It's really nice to see. I don't think anything's going to come of it other than just pushing him out of the jungle, but Invoxus will secure up that weapon treant and then maybe move into mid here. As you can see, eSuba do have quite a few members hanging around. Just actually 2 scout cams down in that brush there.
Look like they're making an aggressive invade for this blue buff. Ooh, the miss on the tendrils there from the Malign, but it doesn't feel like Great Invoxus are in any position to contest. They're just going to use that Lorelei pool to try and zone some of the eSuba members away. But eSuba immediately going to turn for Ghostwing here.
Yeah, and this should be a take. It's interesting. I don't know if you notice it. Refuse to Lose has refused to leave his.
I think we might have lost Humanist just for a second there, so I'll carry on. Oh no, you're here. You're here.
You hear me, bud?
Oh, sorry. You just. It might have been me. Might have been you.
It's probably just an internet thing there. But yeah, I was just saying, Refuse to Lose was to leave the lane. So that's kind of, it has its drawbacks and its strengths, right? Like, he's getting farm, he's getting the levels, but yeah, there is a lot of pressure coming down on the map. I guess we'll see how that's going to pay out pretty soon. D3 absolutely caught out, rooted up down into the infinite reboot, and this will be a kill to tie up the score 1-1 7 minutes in as Invoxus get on the board.
Yeah, I mean, they've been letting that Alpha have the run of the mill in that top lane. They really haven't had the time to 2v1 much, because classically in EU and sometimes in NA, you see this 2v1 meta open up. They are going to commit very heavily for this top lane tier 1 turret. It looks like the Malign is going to rotate up, and Varia still being a mid lane means they might be able to punish by denying some ways. I don't know how much damage they're going to get down to the turret, but with the blue buff just spawning now, that CP buff just coming on to the fold, they might take that too.
Well, they're there, and was that a snipe out? Yeah, that's gonna be the Malign taking that. Gauntlet comes down, but it wasn't the one he was looking for. Self Vanguard. Marnie really locked onto Sweet Honor. That's gonna be the boots back as he repositions, gets himself out of there. No harm, no foul. Up in top, a little bit of a trade here. Tony in with a jawbreaker. He actually brings the trash talk, which is going to set up the death from above perfectly. Suri over the top, and Buka's there to clean that one up. But the collapse from eSuba from mid up towards top means that they will get the return kill. We find ourselves tied up 2-2, 8 minutes in, and that'll be it from the eSuba. So the drawback from Invoxus, they'll clear up their jungle and get back out into lanes.
So a little bit of an interesting change here, by the way, is that we're seeing a weapon power Arden coming out. Now, I'm assuming this is weapon power Arden jungle with Jendak playing the support Adagio mid. Very interesting kind of allotment of heroes, I would say. Like, if I was running this composition, I'd have Adagio top, I'd have Arden in the support role, and have Alpha in the jungle. But this is a kind of a very weird way of playing the game, because they're not 2v1ing bot. They're kind of having Arden rotate as a roaming gank squad with the Malign. They are trying to maintain pressure across all 3 lanes at once. But the problem is that when you're doing that, you're never actually going to gain an advantage in the game yourself. You're responding to enemy pressure, and you're going to get outscaled in this composition. Like, you're going to really not be able to sort of match up in team fights to what Great Invoxus are bringing to the table. So for me, that's like a reactive game style that is not what eSuba need to do to achieve their win conditions.
How would you kind of correct course if you were in charge of the team right now?
Well, I would definitely want to apply pressure bot, which they have done. They've got that bot lane tier 1. I would be wanting to search for fights, keep going for those global objectives like Ghostwing. This is a really good opportunity. Even though it's 5 versus 4, you probably have the ability to burst someone out if you get the opportunity with the Malign like this.
Oh yeah, Malign on the back, getting some nice damage down. I think one of the problems, though, is they didn't have that gauntlet. Still 20 more seconds. It was 30-second cooldown as they walked into that potential engage there. And that was a really interesting kind of choke point position where you could have had someone walk through 2 walls to escape out of that fight, and you know they're going to get stunned up at least once. Now, Invoxus over here on the Ghostwing, this is a dangerous situation. They're dropping down low. Refuse to Lose is going to drop here at the beginning of the fight. Jindak will be the second to fall down. They're going to lose Prostways as well. Now they have the gauntlet. It comes on through. Ghostwing taken up here. This is actually taken by eSuba. There was a nice take from them, but they're completely cleaned up. Alpha looking for something in the jungle. There's nothing there. So they get the Ghost Wing, but they lose 4 heroes, you scoundrel.
Unsure if worth. I mean, you just went into a 4 versus 5 situation, realized that it wasn't the best opportunity when trying to defend the weapon power buff, and then they went to take Ghostwing. Now, obviously, Ghostwing's an important objective, but you did have Alpha split pushing in the top. A sensible way of maybe approaching that instead of going for the straight team fight, which you lose due to numbers disadvantages, was having Alpha continue to push and try and get that second tier turret in the top lane. That would have been my optimum way of dealing with that situation, and now D3's caught behind enemy lines again, but it looks like they're going to be able to collapse.
Who caught who? With D3, is he making space? Termination protocol's out. He's down into reboot. He's taking a lot of damage. He won't make it, and that's going to be the Vanguard. Hold on, Buka kiting back. Buka jebaited the minutes and double kill from the Varia. Turn it around. Oh, bada boom! He's going to disrupt this fight here. Sweet Honor jumps back in. He wants Mattis ass. He's going to be able to get him. It's a triple kill for the Varia, and that's going to be also the Lorelei going down up here around that weapon treant. Prostoy and Buka trying to take this Gold Oak. And well, they will successfully do so, but a little Shimmer Strike love from Warren. And so Warren will be able to secure the kill.
Yeah, but overall, it's a net advantage over to the side of Great Invoxus again because they get a turret in the bot lane. That was even a 4 versus 5 situation for them. Oh, this guy's bitten off more than she can chew.
She's choking.
Going down. Yeah, I mean, that was still a good fight for Great Invoxus. Even though they ended up losing overall, they got the net pressure across the map. They didn't really lose anything major. The only thing that went down was really the weapon power buff. And honestly, as a late game scaling composition going even with what eSuba have brought to the table, I would be really happy with that. And Catherine getting a kill here. Yeah, that was really big for them.
Yeah, that was great. Honestly, I mean, Adagio is one of those heroes. As your team starts to get out of a fight and Catherine can get 1 stun off on you, you're most likely not going to make it out of there, and that's exactly what happened. Lorelei follows up with the fish food. Eventually off cooldown, you're going to get stunned up again. So a nice job to clean up the kills there. Now they put them in itself in a position 5 versus 4 up here. This could be a Black Claw take. Well, it's not even 5 versus 4 because you have 2 members of eSuba down on the bottom. This is Mattis and Marnisar that have to make some sort of god play if they're going to contest. It's more of just kind of a nuisance harass, letting them know, hey, we know what's going on, and looking for like an opportunity if the mistakes were made. No mistakes were made, and this is going to be the push.
Yeah, I just feel like eSuba misplayed this early game really, really hard. They just tried to respond to the pressure that Great Invoxus was putting down. Really, what I would have done was been to say, okay, we stole the blue buff on first rotation. Now let's rotate Naleen down and try and continue pressure in bot lane, snowball that very quickly, rotate back up to top, go for Ghost Wing, and continue pressure like that. They actually took the first Ghost Wing and took the second, but it was an awful fight. But right now, they're going against a composition that really beats them pretty hard in the late game, and they're just not doing anything about it.
Yeah, now they move over to contest the Ghost Wing, but it's already been taken here. Are they potentially caught out? Looks like a Bada Boom is going to go ahead and knock back the Adagio. Gauntlet comes down, but it's not in the correct place while I'm saying this. Yeah, it's actually not going to be. There's a lot of damage coming from the Idris as he tries to get on target, but with a water wall, Refuse to Lose will stay alive. Vanguard comes in here. They jump back forward from Refuse to Lose. I don't know about that one. They move in. This is going to be a double kill as Invoxus just starts to get torn apart. Sky, you got to get back, trying to stutter step back, but it's Suri forward. The aggressive play. Looks like the Atlas Pauldron landed onto the Sky. They won't have enough damage to go for 2. Maybe he thought he could get 2 kills cleaning up Jindak at the end, but it's not going to happen there. And it looked a little bit sloppy.
Little bit unsure about that Sky jump and that Varia jump directly into the melee heroes chasing you down, but regardless, you still got the Ghost Wing. It's still kind of a net advantage in your favor. At this point, the gold advantage is still lying with eSuba, though. So realistically, while I've been saying all of that, eSuba is still the ones that have the gold advantage. The gold advantage isn't huge right now, and I don't think it's going to translate into anything super meaningful. 3,000 gold is about, what, 1 tier 3 item? It really depends on who that tier 3 item is going to. But overall, I'd say eSuba are making the right moves on the map, but they are just a little bit, they're the ones being reactive. And a competition like this, I think you need to be the proactive team. I think you need to be the one that takes the steps forwards and tries to get the side of Great Invoxus to engage on you. If you're doing the engaging, I think you're in the wrong position. And I still think, even though the gold lead is in the favor of eSuba, they're still not doing the right thing in this game to ensure a victory.
Yeah, they've pretty much held on to this gold lead for the majority of this game, but yeah, it feels like they could make a little bit tighter decisions. And even Invoxus in that last fight, as you said, jumping back in with 2 heroes that are very capable of kiting, kind of threw that fight for them. So Invoxus just played this a little bit cleaner, even being behind, it does feel like they can get a lot of work done. I mean, right down at bottom.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you do have to look at. This build, by the way, coming up from Varen. He's gone for a hybrid Idris build. Not sure how I feel about that. I personally feel like Idris is never good if you split his passive, but regardless, it will give him some, when he gets a couple of stacks in Dragon's Eye, he should be able to start getting ranged basic attacks that hit like a weapon power carry. So I kind of understand it, but if I was doing this build, I would probably have just done Shatterglass, so I get them from the very start.
Bro, this is just the next level play. Let's see, Invoxus moving in, looking to find a catch. Drax is on the front of this with a fish food. It's going to connect onto the Arden, but no follow up there. Just about a half a second too far behind him. We'll go ahead and regroup, drop back to the shop. We're approaching the 16-minute mark of this game, tied up 12-12. Net worth advantage over to eSuba, as we've talked about before, but it's really not too big of a lead.
No, absolutely not. And they do have a really solid kiting composition coming on from Invoxus as well. I mean, if they play it correctly with the Lorelei at this stage in the game, with the Catherine and with Tony, there should be no way that you realistically get to the Sky or get to the Varia easily. Varenex has started to get those basic attacks coming through. That was a defensive badaboon coming out from the Tony there. And eSuba are actually splitting pressure, so they are what they are doing well, Humanist, is saying, okay, on a strict 5v5 team fight, we probably don't win, although I say that they're trying to find an engage.
They need the Cath. Cath is down in bottom, farming. Sky is caught out. Not the tanky hero that you want up on the front side of your fight, and they are going to lose Buka to start with. In fact, they could lose Prostoy. Yes, they're going to lose. They turn around the fish food, stone on the 2. I thought maybe there's some follow-up. Vario, you're so far up. Waterwall just barely keeping the Vario alive. She'll turn around with the Stormforge Spear plus the Blast Trimmer, almost bursting one down. Tier 2 turret's going to go ahead and drop down in mid as eSuba find a couple of kills and an objective here. They'll move down towards Ghost Swing. They're kind of cleaning things up here.
Okay, so it doesn't actually matter what your composition does if your Sky gets insta-gibbed and then doesn't even try to Suri strike out of the fight. So it doesn't matter what your composition does.
Deeper into the fight. Sometimes
I know,
you can only go deeper.
Oh, well, in that case, just stop. In that case, just don't. Just don't go deeper. It doesn't help. Yeah, I mean, the Slumbering Husk is obviously a great pickup for her because it's going to keep her alive in those situations, but you need to be able to use that time that the Slumbering Husk gives you to reposition. She didn't use that time at all, and I mean, I think she got CC'd a little bit, but regardless, I feel like the positioning needs to be better from these carries. These ranged carries should not be getting touched from the side of Great Invoxus. They have so much front line to protect them. They don't need to be the ones frontlining. Sky got caught out because she was the one that was right at the front of her composition. She didn't need that. Now she's backing when the team are collecting around Blacklaw. Please don't do that, Sky. Good. Good.
I mean, yeah, we know that these are good players, right? So they have to know that these are mistakes they should be making. It almost feels like just a bit of overconfidence. And with a team that is playing with overconfidence and makes a mistake, you know, if they're here to win, we'll see them tighten up their play and not make those mistakes as they look to close this game out. And right now with the Black Claw push, this is a great chance for them to do so.
Absolutely, they're pushing in with Black Claw. Here goes. Again, I'm liking the fact that now Catherine is the one with Tony at the front line. Sky splitting here. This is a dangerous time to split Sky because that Black Claw will go down very quickly. You don't want to engage either, Great Invoxus, when your Sky is in the top lane.
No, this is a situation where I would be telling my team to act, keep them busy, but don't die. Don't fully engage, just partially engage. And if that's the case, you could potentially be getting at least the turret out of top and then repositioning for a potential gank as they move back out on the map. How as aggressive was that the War Transit? No, that was 2 pairs of boots, 3 pairs of boots popped as they looked to chase 4 pairs of boots because Alpha actually has the Journey boots on cooldown. Didn't even get the attack off to reset them.
Yeah, I think the only way that you reliably engage this is with the Arden Gauntlet. And again, that can be Crucible out pretty quickly. I do want to see Catherine pick up a Crucible. I think it's absolutely necessary when your Sky doesn't have one. They're engaging and Varia's not even with them. Why make this move?
Just to psych you out, Scoundrel. Watch, they're about to clean this up, turn around. Man, that slow out of Lorelei is just so good in those choke points. Honestly, if there was follow-up there, that would have been devastating for eSuba. Invoxus over here. And looks like they'll go for that Crystal Trance and then go ahead and reposition themselves. What's the next take for Invoxus or eSuba on the map?
Well, obviously, Ghostwing will be spawning again fairly regularly, fairly soon. The problem is for Great Invoxus is they can't actually split push effectively, because if they split their team up, you're isolating the key damage carries, and I think all of them need that big front line. Like Sky and Varia need that front line of Tony, Catherine, and Lorelei to ensure that they're safe, even in the 1v1 scenarios. So you can't. Oh, that's a bad route. Oh, thank goodness he gets out. But you can't split up and you can't split push with this composition from Great Invoxus, whereas eSuba can. They can actually split push with the Alpha and with the Idris. We've got to fight though.
Lorelei debating on the front side of this fight. Tony trying to stay up front to control this fight, but D3 is deep, trying to get onto the squishy targets. They turn around, they're dropping D3 low, but this isn't Alpha. This is exactly what he would do. Alpha into the backside. Lorelei's forced back. They've lost Prostoy. Now they look for the Varia, but Varia able to get over the wall, chase down. Warren's able to get the kill. It's a double kill for him. Now Invoxus, you got to get everybody back. They are so incredibly low. You could potentially dive in, but splash down plus the fish food. And Emily's not going to connect there on the fadeaway. And eSuba very aggressively jump in. A great fight, and they take two.
Yeah, absolutely. But you have a Tornado Trigger Sky and a Varia who didn't basic attack. I mean, I think I could count the amount of times Varia basic attacked in that fight on one hand. It was just not a lot, Humanists.
Well, if she didn't attack, you can't even count it on one hand.
No, well, that's what I mean. It was about 4 basic attacks across the entire thing. That's what I mean
as well. Warren in onto Draxus. Draxus immediately forced. I mean, this Draxus is just not feeling tame. And interestingly enough, has been up towards the front side of the fights. And I don't know about that, man, because it feels like if you take too much damage, you might have to water wall yourself. Then you don't have that for your allies.
I think I'm questioning the choice of Pulse Weave here for Draxus. I would have been going for Rook's Decree, probably. I think you've got a Pulse Weave on Tony, you've got a Pulse Weave on Catherine. You're not really the ones that want to do the engaging time and time again. I think you're mainly kiting and giving space for your Varia and your Sky. So I would have been thinking Rook's Decree. I want to get shields across this team. I want to make sure I'm keeping my two carries really, really safe. 3 Pulse Weaves seems like overkill. Massive overkill. I don't really know what they're achieving with them. I can see it on the Catherine, I can kind of see it on the Tony, don't see it on the Lorelei. I would have preferred Rook's Decree, like I said. Also a Fountain. I know Fountain's sometimes called overrated in this current meta, but you need it right now. You're losing these fights. You can't. Your carries aren't kiting properly.
Okay, D3 jumping in, trying to make Invoxus kite back as you... But once again, Tony burst down to the beat. I mean, Tony feels like a squishy hero at this point. They're going to lose 2. Sky's down. Sky in a vulnerable position, and their allies can't keep him alive. Now refuse to lose his low. Jiraxis is low as well. D3 chasing him down, getting the breaking point stacks, and this should be a dead Lorelei. Varia was able to, I think, drop into the bush and teleport home. So that will be 2 members of Invoxus surviving at the end of this fight. And suddenly we see quite a large net worth advantage building up over here for eSuba and a Black Claw take.
I got to give credit to eSuba because they are playing these fights so nicely. They are jumping in. This hybrid build from the Idris means that they have a double range threat coming out as well. I wouldn't recommend hybrid Idris build because it's really hard to make work and really hard to get online. But in this particular engage, Warren is doing such a good job of just being a consistent threat with it. I mean, look at this. Time and time again, it's just going to take down Sweet Honor.
This is questionable at best. Double kill coming through for eSuba. Black Claw marching down the lane. We're talking about 40-second respawn timers here. What are your odds that this game ends on this push?
I think it's pretty likely at this point. You've got a super, you've actually given some late game over with this hybrid Idris build over to eSuba. You've got a really tanky Alpha. Maline's hit a pretty solid item spikes for her. I mean, she hasn't gone Aftershock, but she has gone for strict burst damage. This is probably game over.
I actually like that she didn't go for the Aftershock because it means that she can trade with that Varia a little bit, get into the later portions of this game. And that's going to be the armory and turret down. They're into the Vein Crystal area. Sky force back, already taking way too much damage to stand forward and just trade here. This is going to be game. eSuba coming through, cleaning things up here, taking a very clean victory at the end portion of this game. And while they made some mistakes, you know, we talked about them as the game was going on, they maintained this net worth advantage the majority of this game. They made some gutsy calls with the builds here, like out of the Idris. But this is a clean win for them.
Yeah, I think there was some serious itemization errors from great. And I think also, again, all those pulse weaves not super necessary. I think the Varia was not playing the best Varia that I've ever seen in my life, even though 6-4-4 looks like a good scoreline. There was just not enough basic attacks coming through there. Like, he was dealing almost no damage. I'd love to see the damage output. But yeah, I mean, overall, great from eSuba. They're going to keep themselves in this series.